Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing my VCT Pacific power rankings and predictions for week 3. I'm going to go through all 11 teams, rank them into these 5 tiers, and then pick the winner of every game for this upcoming week. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Also, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy, really helps me out. Also, go check out my Twitter where I do weekly player rankings. I just posted my Pacific ones, I think yesterday as of when I'm going to post this. So yeah, you just definitely go check those out. I don't think there was much movement in the Pacific one. There was a lot in the Americas one. But I'll also be uploading the same video for Americas tomorrow, so you can go check that out as well. And yeah, let's get right into it. So we'll start with these bottom 3 teams that I think are pretty clearly the bottom 3 teams in Pacific. It's just dependent on how you want to order it. So since the first week, I've had Bleed and Global as my bottom 2 teams, or at least the first week of this split. I've had these 2 as my bottom 2 teams. Global just beat Bleed, so I'm going to put Global above them. Also, I just have had Global above them since last week, so I think that's pretty fair to say these are pretty clearly the 2 worst teams in Pacific right now, in my opinion. But I think you also could make an argument for Zeta Division, who, I mean, man, I don't get it. Like, I liked quite a few of these players coming into the year. I liked Hero Run. I like Depp still. I mean, I still like both those players. I liked Sugar Zero, who hasn't had a great year, in my opinion. And then Laz, who, I think is a pretty good individual player. I don't think he's perfect. I don't think he's, like, elite or anything. But sometimes when he's IGLing, he'll put up stinkers and everything like that. And also just on this, like, normal Sentinel role, I don't think he's that good. So like this team has pieces. Like Yoran is still good. I think he's fine, but like whenever he and Heroron get into like 2v2 situations, everything just, I mean, they can never win those ever. So I mean, that says something about those 2 players and maybe their level of communication or just like the level of players that they are right now. I still do think they've shown a lot of flashes this year, and maybe they should keep 1 or 2 of them heading into next year. But man, Laz's IGLing is just not it. That was something that like was a big thing for this team heading into this year. And like anytime they don't have a good game plan against some specific thing that the other team does, they just can't adapt in the middle of the map, and they just lose. So they need a new IGL. They need somebody to come in and fix this team. They may probably need a new coach as well to like actually get something out of their timeouts. And yeah, just it's depressing, man. I love this team, but they're just not good. I also like people are still underrating Depp, I think, even though he's had some games. I don't think he's like losing his team rounds or like not like winning fights that he should be winning. Like most of the fights that I see him taking are fine, at least for like comparatively to a lot of the other Pacific duelists. Like I have him in a tier with like Jemkin, May, and Jeremy. Um, and I think all those guys do make mistakes and lose fights that they should win sometimes, but um, overall, like I think he's pretty clearly in that tier with them. It's just where you would put him. And now onto this next tier titled like "There's Something Here" with these 2 teams. Like they have some pieces, they look decent, but they're not going to be doing anything of note this year. And I think this will start with DFM, who just beat Zeta, so I think they have to be over them. And I think at least throughout this split have been pretty clearly better than them. Um, I just I love May, dude. I kind of like warned people heading into the year. I'm like, this May guy, he might be like really good. I should have planted my flag on that a little bit more because like everything I saw about him, some of the games I watched of him were so good. I really should have planted my flag more, but I just wasn't confident enough heading into the year to rank him super highly, like maybe I did with Texture. Even then, I had him like 7th, just because like there were other players who were like more proven, or like I guess more proven just in general, and I had to rank them above them. I probably should have done the player ranking at the beginning of the year for like where I thought they would be at the end of the year, but yeah, I don't know. Regardless, moving on. I don't know. I just think DFM largely just brings some solid ideas to the table, and they're playing pretty simple Valorant, pretty slow Valorant, which I think has gotten a little bit faster going into this stage. Like they're improving week to week, and that's really good. I think there is a chance that they start to get like figured out down the line during this stage, but overall, it's a big step up from what they were last year. And I think if they make a few roster changes from this roster, which still feels like May and Friends a little bit sometimes, I think they could really start to become a really good team. And then we have T1, who I'm still lower on. Like, I've been lower on them all year since kickoff, pretty much. Um, I still have them in this bottom, like, end of the power rankings where or like they are in the standings pretty much. Um, I don't see it with this team. Like in terms of like the actual team play and everything, like Saya shows some good stuff. I really want to see him play like the Meteor Sentinel stuff, like in that style. I really want to see him try that because I don't like his duelist play. I think it's selfish and just like he doesn't use his jet dash correctly a lot of the times on Ascent, which I keep bringing it back to. That's the point I make all the time. But like even then, like his raise isn't like elite or anything. I think his neon could be pretty good, but overall, just like keep him on the chamber as much as you can, maybe, and then let him play the cipher, let him play the killjoy, maybe heading into this offseason, and really build something there with like an elite sentinel player, maybe in the mold of Meteor. Um, as for the rest of the roster, like Rossi's super solid. Uh, I think Stacks. I mean, in the one pressure game that they had to play against Secret, like their years on the line, he puts up a generational stinker. Um, so I don't know, man. Not a generational. It wasn't that bad, but it was not good. And maybe it's not the IGLing in the big games that makes him not frag as much. Maybe he's just a little bit of a choker. I don't know. That's just an opinion of mine. Like I don't know anything about him personally. Um, but that's always what it seemed to be, where like his fragging kind of slowed down in the like big elimination games, and I think you could always chalk that up to IGLing. But when he's not calling on this team and he's doing that, I I just don't get it. Um, Accurate, I think, has been a decent caller, and I mean, for what it's worth, Stacks being like a secondary caller in this team could be very helpful. Um, And I mean, his fragging has taken a dip since switching over to smokes, but I really don't care about that. And then Idzu, I just want to see him play all the duelists. I think you could realistically just cut him at the end of the year, even though like you want a better duelist player than Izu, even though he is actually pretty good, and I think he's a little underrated, honestly. He's a really good race player, really good entry. I've seen him play a little bit of Jet. I just like his jet play and his opping made me want him to switch to flex or smokes or like something else, like a different role. And I think that was good for him to switch over to smokes, and I want him to still play smokes or something like that. But if the roles don't fit on this team, I just don't see a place for Izu on this team, which kind of sucks. Like that he's the odd man out because I really liked him coming into the year, and I still do. I just I don't see like again, I don't see a place for him on this team, even with Saya switching over to more of a sentinel role. I don't think he is good enough on the Rays, the Jet, and the Neon to justify keeping him as your main duelist or something like that. Maybe like a flex player, like secondary duelist, something like that. Maybe you could do that for double duelist comps on split. He could play the Rays, stuff like that. But overall, just I don't know, a good team that are a team that has potential going into the future, but I still think they need to make roster changes. I still think they need to uh, continue building on what they have because like they just got stacks. Like they're not going to be that good right now. Um, but again, maybe after some roster changes, they could be one of the better teams in Pacific. But man, it's just I don't know. They're just not in a good spot. All right. Now moving on to two teams that I think could maybe make champs. Just really depends on how champs points line up and who they play in that final bracket, in the playoff bracket. And we'll start with Talon, who I mean, people were so down on them after they got destroyed by Paper Rex. Man, it's a young team getting destroyed by Paper Rex. Like, come on. Um, Coming into this week, then they just beat RRQ, who I think is a really good team. I don't think they're quite on that level yet, just because I really hate the roles on this team. They have three different people playing duelist for them, being Gov, Ban, and Surf. They did switch it from Surf on Icebox to Ban, so that could be something. Um, But I just don't get why they would switch Gov off the Jet. Like I still think his Jet's really good. I still think his Opping's really good. Um, that didn't make sense to me. Still doesn't. But I think he can be a good flex player as well. I just I think his duelist is better, pretty much. Like it's like the opposite of Wu, where like yeah he'd be a really good duelist player too, but his flex is also really good, and you also have Mini Boo, so it's kind of pointless. Like I do get why Ban is playing the KO or not the KO, the ISO, and then Gov would play the Clove. Like that makes sense to me. But like when Surf is playing the Jet and when Ban is playing the Jet on Ascent, that's where it gets weird to me. I mean I always thought Ban was a pretty good Jet player when he was in NA, but like heading over to Pacific here, I just want him to play the roles that he's gonna play. I also thought Surf was pretty good on Senti when he played it. So switching over to kind of more of a flex role also didn't make sense to me, um, or more of an initiator or whatever you want to call it. It just they're just making things more complicated. Pretty much is all I have to say. Um, but still, very good young team. Just want to see them keep improving, and making champs would be a big help. But it does seem like a little bit of a long shot. Um, as long as they make playoffs, obviously they have a chance. But I'm not sure right now. Then we have Team Secret. I still feel like I'm underrating them. And I don't know if that's. I mean, I probably should have put them in the great teams tier, honestly. Because, I mean, Wild Oreo looks really good. I think Jesse Vash's calling is some of the best in Pacific, if not second best behind Munchkin. Um, it's really up there. Like, he is kind of exposing how weak the calling is in the Pacific specifically. Um, Envy still feels like he's underrated. He's so good on that flex role. Jeremy is getting better every week, it seems, while playing the duelist. He's so good on both the Rays and the Jet. Uh, I mean, yeah, I think I said Wild Oreo's name already. He's really good. 2GE has just been pretty solid. And then, I mean, Jesse Vash isn't a bad individual either. Like, I think this team could make champs. I also don't, like, for talent, this goes for talent as well. I don't really think either of these teams would actually do anything at champs. Uh, anything significant, like making playoffs or like making a top four or something like that. I don't think that's really in these teams' arsenal, at least for this year. Uh, but still, two very good teams, and I really enjoy watching at least these top six in Pacific. Then moving on to the great teams tier, where I have DRX and I have RRQ, just swapping spots again because RRQ beat DRX pretty much. I don't want to do super results based and like standings based power rankings, but honestly, in Pacific it feels like it's pretty decent right now. Uh, outside of DRX at least being like all the way at the top. I'm not panicking about DRX like a lot of other people are. Like they didn't look good against RRQ, but like you can't excuse some of the coordination issues. Some of it was just really bad. But I really don't think they care about any of these last regular season games as long as they get that first seed. And I mean, who do they even play? Um, I can't even check that. Fuck. Yeah, DRX play Talon and DFM these last 2 weeks. I think they could lose to Talon, but even if DFM like has a May, like if May has a May game, maybe there's a chance of them losing. But like, no, no, it like they should still beat DFM. And even if they don't, like, who cares? They're just experimenting, doing some weird shit. Like, I really didn't like them putting Mako on Breach. I thought that was an awful idea, to say the least. And it's not even the comp that they were running against Zeta on Sunset. Maybe they decided they wanted to change it because they didn't like it. But it's not like they switched the roles, like, and that's it. They just switched Mako to the Breach. Maybe Flashback didn't like it or something like that. But honestly, again, I'm not concerned with it as much as other people are. Again, there's stuff that's inexcusable. Like I think it was round 4 on Split where they like to tried the flash peek into mid and they just Bane just missed the flash straight up, and that was bad. Like stuff like that is inexcusable and bad. But to be fair, Bane has played 5 games of Sky in his entire pro career. So I don't know how bad that really is. Like, I think it's maybe oversold how bad that is. I mean, again, it was really bad. I'm not trying to I don't know how to say it. Like, I'm not trying to undermine how bad that game was from them. But again, I'm just not super concerned with it like everyone else is. But so I don't just keep saying the same things over and over again. We'll move on to RRQ, who had a good win over DRX and had a really, really close game with Talon that was actually super entertaining. Um, I think this team is good, man. Like Monette is so good on the smokes roll and even playing the neon. I thought he was super impressive. I don't know why Jemkin's not playing that. I really think he could play that if they needed him to. Um, but overall, just super impressive on that role. I think Jemkin's Gecko is getting better, especially on Lotus when he's playing it as like an actual initiator and not like part of a triple initiator, no duelist comp like on uh, fucking Icebox. Um, so yeah, that's looking better. Elmimore, I think, is one of the better shooters just in general in Pacific. I He makes some dumbass decisions sometimes, man. Like there was a round versus DRX where it was like a 3v3 and he popped Skyall in A main and just ran it at DRX. Um, but he dropped 33 that fucking map, so who cares? Uh, he's really good. Estrella, I think his calling is looking better every week. Uh, did I say Elmimore when I was talking about that? That's what I mean. Elmimore being the idiot, but also the aimer. I'm pretty sure I said that, but I just want to clarify. And then, dude, Zephyro on Sunset was insane. He had like 3 different 4K rounds on defense while anchoring sites. And yeah, he was just so good in that game. I mean, DRX was terrible at clearing him out, but he was also very good. So I think every piece on this team looks really solid. And I just think they need maybe a couple more weeks for it to fully gel and maybe become one of these international contenders that could maybe make a big run at an international event. Like I still think this team could make playoffs at a Masters event or like top 6, maybe even sneak into a top 4 or something like that. Just a really, really good team with a lot of upside as well for the future. And then last up here, I mean, I don't really have too much else to say about Paper X and Gen G. They're the best 2 teams in Pacific. If you disagree, you are wrong. Um, Paper X having a pretty good win over DRX, destroying them on 2 maps and then playing a troll comp on Haven um, with ISO and Yoru. I mean, actually, dude, that comp looked like it had some legs with like the Fade Yoru and ISO combination. Like they ran around. It was a C exec where Forsaken Yoru ulted through Garage, pinged out somebody for Jing to ISO ult. Then something Fade ulted the site and he came out of the Fade ult and killed somebody because they didn't have audio. Like, it's just so insane to me. Also, something played Yoru earlier in the year for this team, and it didn't look awful. So I don't know why he wasn't playing the Yoru in that comp, but also every Paper X player can seemingly play everything. So who? I mean, if his fade gets better, who really cares? That's all I really have to say about Paper X. Really, like yeah, they stomped DRX and then played a comp that wasn't great on Haven. Um, they actually, I would predict that they will get one of the top 2 seeds. They play DFM, who they should beat, RRQ, who I think they will beat, and then Zeta, who they will beat, or they should beat as well. RRQ, I think, I just want to clarify that that was less of a uh, set thing than the DFM or the Zeta wins. But I really think they should win out. Like, I think they're pretty clearly the second best team, but I'm not putting them first until they prove that they can actually win a tournament and look really good at like every tournament. Like until they show that they are better than Genji at an international event, I'm not moving them up the number pretty much. And did Genji play this week? No, they didn't. So don't have anything to say about them. Moving on to predictions. All right. So for week 3 here, we're gonna start with Talon DFM, and Talon plays 2 games this week, so does DFM. I think DFM will assume that they are going to lose this game versus Paper X anyway, and I think they'll actually prep harder for this Talon game. Talon will probably be prepping harder for this DRX game, considering DRX look pretty beatable right now. So I'm actually going to pick DFM in this game. Excuse me. Um, I don't want to re-record. I don't know. I believe in May. I think he's the best duelist in this game, no matter who is playing it on Talon. And I also just like the calling from DFM, from Anthem. I also like it from Cruz, but I think Anthem is maybe a little bit better. I actually don't remember who I had higher in my player rankings. But regardless, like, DFM looks good. Talon looks good. I'm going to slightly favor DFM just because of all of the, like, outside circumstances. Then I'm going to pick RRQ over Zeta. I don't need to explain that. T1 over Global. I don't think I need to explain that. I think some Global fans might think that they can win this game, and I do agree to a certain extent, but, like, I mean, T1 still have some of the best roster talent in Pacific, so I think they should be able to roll over Global. Then Genji over Bleed. If you disagree, you are stupid. And then Paper X over Detonation. I think that's pretty easy, especially with Detonation playing 2 games this week. And then I am going to pick Talon over DRX because I think they're going to prep heavier for that game overall. And yeah, so these are my picks for this week. I'm not going to do Reddit picks. I'll probably tweet it out before Pacific starts. I just want to get this video over and done with. So yeah, leave a like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.